Rangers,
Rangers,
all the way,
all the way.
Here we go,
Here we go,
here we go,
here we go.
C-130 rolling down the strip.
C-130 rolling down the strip.
Airborne daddy gonna take a little trip.
Airborne daddy gonna take a little trip.
Mission unspoken, destination unknown.
Mission unspoken, destination unknown.
Don't even know if we're ever coming home.
Oh, if we're ever coming home.
Stand up.
All right, and then getting a Ranger Battalion. It's always a wonderful experience. Showing up and meeting your first team leader, first squad leader, your platoon sergeant you don't even look at if you know what's best for you. Who's got some funny stories about showing up at battalion and getting your
Well, I
balls
remember getting out of RIP, and you're like, all right, cool, I made it. You're in battalion, you know, you think you're a real Ranger because you got the beret and all that shit. Little do you know, when you show up and you meet your platoon, it's just hell for fucking
6 months.
for at least 6 months. And actually, you were my first team leader in weapons. He was my first.
Nice.
No, you were actually the friggin' saving grace. But it was you, it was Foster and Forbes and Noonan.
Oh, God.
So.
Oh, and Hunter, too, as a team leader.
Yeah, Little Hunter. Yeah. And so
It was
I
like I remember we had like 18 people in weapons squad, and there was like 9 tabs in weapons squad. Like we were just stacked.
we
It
don't
was
need you.
retarded.
Yeah, so I show up and they're like, "How's your PT?" I was like, "I suck at running," but like, so we went on a run, and your first run in battalion, I think you never forget because. Of course, you're the private, and like they're like, you're road guard, so you thought you had to like run to the road and do the whole gay freaking half parade rest, and they're like, get the fuck over here, what are you doing? I was like, sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. And so you're running, you're hitting poles, you're hitting all these freaking, everything they're calling out, and then
You go touch that telephone pole.
yeah, and we're coming back, and I fall out right towards the end, like right when we hit the brown fence. It was Little Hunter, and he's like, hit the fence. And I was being a smart ass. Instead of hitting the main gate, I just smacked the fence like that, and that was stupid. But, they didn't appreciate being a smart ass. So this 200 freaking pound guy, it was Coop. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he got mad when you called him Cop or whatever. But it was Coop.
What's your last four, Sergeant?
He comes around from the front of formation and this fucking T-bones me into the wood line and beats the shit out of me. And Noonan was a squad leader at the time. And so I'm like, holy shit, I'm getting fucking killed in the wood line. And then all of a sudden we hear, hey. And there's some officer that was running, like some leg officer behind us. And he called Noonan. He's like, who's in control of this fucking run and shit? And Noonan goes back there, and they do their talk or whatever. I figured the officer's chewing him out, and then as he's chewing him out, Coop's still on top of me, fucking beating my ass. So he finally lets me up, and I was like, fuck, I'll never fall out of another run again.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was like maybe 130 pounds and 140 and like out of basic, and fucking this dude just comes and T-bones me.
Yeah.
And then
He was like the enforcer of.
yeah, I was like, holy shit.
Breaking legs.
Yeah, and I was like, at that point, I was like, oh fuck, I made it, I'm in battalion. And then
Wake up call.
the wake up call for fucking Coop slamming you into a tree, beating your ass.
Coop smash.
I was telling Burkhart earlier, one of my first experiences was pulling CQ. Like, I was in battalion for like literally 2 days at that point. I remember the phone ringing. Well, first off, you guys remember that skank that would call up dirty?
The ACO, man.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Well, she would call other companies too, but I think she was notorious for calling ACO.
Yeah,
What
she
year
had
was
something
that?
up with our. This was like 2003.
3, yeah.
Yeah. And
Every other night she would call
I'm
the
like
CP desk and just
PV2
talk.
Murphy with my mosquito wings on my collar, and the phone rings, and she's just saying the most disgusting things. I want to do this to you and that to you, and I'm like,
Well,
I'm on duty right now.
I still remember ACO 4353.
Dude, I remember the same.
How can I help you, sir, man?
And I remember Ranger Rendezvous is coming up soon, and I get this phone call from one of the old timers. He calls up. He's like, "Hello, sir. Could you give me directions to the rendezvous?" I'm like, no, maybe you should call, battalion headquarters, call staff duty. I'm not calling staff duty, Ranger. I'm calling ACO. Is this ACO 375? And then he proceeds to lay into me. He's like, y'all have been all fucked up ever since you moved into those new barracks. Choose my ass. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, man. But it's hilarious. Just some of these old Rangers are just calling up, and they know standards are slipping somewhere in the regiment. And You're gonna have to make some vigorous phone calls down to CQ, find out what's going on. And I was on CQ with Muma. Corporal Muma, he decides he's going to smoke my balls, right? So he says, Murphy, get down and start doing flutter kicks. He's like, we're going to play a little game. And he's shuffling a deck of cards. And he's like, what we're going to do is I'm going to hold up a card. You're going to have to guess what that card is. And we're just going to keep going. You're going to keep doing flutter kicks until you get it right. So I'm laying down there doing flutter kicks. He holds up the first card. He's like, all right, Murphy, what is it? And I'm like, Queen of Hearts. And Muma's like, recover, Murphy.
That's badass.
I thought I had ESP for a month. I was convinced I had some kind of
Dude, if I was the sergeant or team leader, I would have nope, wrong.
Not even close.
Not even
like Bill Murray in Ghostbusters. Full of wavy lines. I'm
this
sorry.
is actually the instructional card. Way off, dude. Now, when I first got to battalion, everybody was they just gotten back from Afghanistan. So I was in my barracks room. These guys had just gotten in. They're freaking beers all over the place, and I'm trying to hide out. My barracks room was just 2 duffel bags, no sheets on the
your
bed.
poncho liner.
Yeah, I'm sitting on the edge of the bed, like, fuck, these guys probably just killed people, and they're gonna come.
They're gonna kill me up next.
Yeah, I'm like sitting in my room. I locked my door, and. Geez, 30 minutes later, I hear guys starting to scream and pounding on my door. So like, do I answer it? You better fucking answer your damn door, you private ball, I go over there and open up the door and stand at parade rest. Like, what are you doing? Stand at parade rest, sergeant. I'm not a fucking sergeant. I'm a specialist. Get out of here. We start drinking, and that was the first time I ever gotten drunk. We had kegs and kegs and kegs of beer, and when I got wasted pretty fast, and they're like, yeah. They're like, let's go for a run now. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not going to be fucking good. So we start going for this run. I start to puke all over the place, projectile vomit, and I threw up on my one of my team leaders' backs on this run. It's a projectile vomit from hell, man. And he turns around, he's like, ripping off his clothes, and he's like, just start doing push-ups right now. And I thought that was the eye-opener for me. It was those guys coming back from overseas just wound up and pretty intimidating, man.
Yeah, they got me drunk on. I was the same story. Probably never really been truly drunk before. Showing up in battalion, they had me drink maybe half a bottle of Southern Comfort.
Oh my gosh.
In the barracks, that first weekend I was there. And I was just laid up in the shower with the heat turned all the way on, the water burning hot, and I'm got the shakes.
Jeez, man.
I remember when I first got into battalion, and I walk over. There was only 2 of us. So Alex Cabral and our RIP class, we had about 20 guys, and they said all you guys are going to first bat. And then the day before RIP, they said RIP ended. Said, hey, 2 slots open up at third bat. Do we have 2 volunteers? Otherwise, we're just going to randomly select 2 people. Well, Alex and I, since our names are so close to each other, we were bunkmates in basic, we were roommates in RIP and all that stuff because they always did everything alphabetically. So we'd been together the whole time. We were best buds by that time, And so, hey, you want to do it? We're just standing for mission. Okay. So we both raised our hands. I guess we're going to third bat.
Jeez, man.
So the next day we walk over and they meet us, and everybody, the day that I got into battalion was the day that they jumped into H1 in Iraq.
Yeah.
So
I was in RIP when they jumped.
Yeah. And I walk in, and there's only like some guys that were left behind, some people that were hurt. There was a couple guys that showed up a few days later. So it was like real chill, relaxed, everything. And I kind of I got smoked pretty bad a few times by some guys that got home from Ranger School, brand new tap check for us. So it was like some pretty bad smokings and stuff. But I had a kind of a similar experience with like the, they put me on a detail. Everybody's coming home from the initial invasion of Iraq. Everybody's, wound up. They're all coming home. And I was on this detail where I had to go out to the airfield and help unload bags and stuff because they weren't doing any of that stuff. And so I remember I'm with Specialist Arnold, who was back. He had just gotten out of Ranger School. And we go up to the barracks, and guys, it's just a madhouse. Yeah. There's just people like hanging off the railings and shit. I mean, just ridiculous.
Chem sticks sprayed.
And I remember I'm on detail. Like I have like a half-hour break before I'm supposed to go back down to the airfield. And this E5, and I don't even remember who it was. It was somebody from another company. He's like, "Hey, you're a new guy." And there was a fairly large. No, it was a long break, but there was like 2 months between that point when I got to battalion and the next class came in. I'm pretty sure right around that period of time. So for 2 months, Alex and I were the only two guys in Ranger Bat that were new. The only two guys without a combat scroll. Right. So people would see us and, who the fuck are you? Just walking the channel like, but this E5's like, "Hey, Private, you're that new guy, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, Sergeant." He's like, "Get over here and drink this 6-pack of beer." Yeah. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, and I remember it was Miller High Life because he's like, "Get some of this champagne up." And, and I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, Miller High Life, the champagne up beers." And I was just like, "Oh, man. Okay." And I'm like, "Special Sergeant, am I allowed to do this?" And he's like, "You better do it." I remember going out. I didn't drink very much. I wasn't 21 yet. I was there by myself. I didn't have really any friends. Everybody was gone. Like I didn't have anybody to, I wasn't around that stuff. So it was like, I'd pound this like 6-pack of Miller High Life, and I'm down at the airfield like unloading bags, just like. Because they made me drink it in like 10-minute period, and I'm just like down there, like burping and unloading bags. Like, oh man, I hope I don't have to talk to anybody important.
Colonel comes over. What are you doing?
Bro, there's some Lord of the Flies shit going on in the barracks. Like, even not even on Friday, on like Thursday night, there'd just be glass all over the hallway.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember you'd be walking down the hallway, and you had to watch yourself because you'd be walking, all of a sudden a bottle would come flying across your face and shatter against the wall, and you'd be like, "What the fuck, man?" And they'd be like, "Oh, sorry, bro," and it'd just be like dudes like in their room, like playing Xbox, and they'd like finish a beer and chuck it from like their room through the little kitchen area out the front door and hit the wall and shatter in the hallway.
Or you might see some random naked guy, screaming down the hallway. Like, what are you
and how many times did somebody use the fire extinguisher? Like every weekend, you'd wake up in the hallway.
I did it all the time.
I sprayed the fire extinguisher.
I remember spraying it and then.
St. Peter's gonna say,
St. Peter's gonna say,
how'd you earn your living?
how'd you earn your living?
How'd you earn your pay?
How'd you earn your pay?
I will reply with a whole lot of anger.
I will reply with a whole lot of anger.
Earn my pay as an airborne ranger.
Earn my pay as an airborne ranger.
Driving on
Driving on
holy
heaven.
St. Peter's gonna say,
St. Peter's gonna say.